Hey legends, welcome back to NCR. It is that time of the year. Time to take a look back at the season that was and ask ourselves, what went well, what went wrong, and what is in store for next year. So let's grab a seat and get into it.
Alrighty, hopefully you've grabbed yourself a seat, gotten comfy. You'll notice that I'm all the way over to the side of the frame. That is so I can use this space for pictures and videos and whatever else I might need to pop up as we discuss things. I have a series of notes here because there's a bit to go through for this season. It was a successful season, but not without its challenges. So before we get into 2025, a quick recap on what happened in 2024. Round 3 was when I tapped the wall in the wet, which was quite an adventure. Round 4 and the final round of that series was when I blew the first gearbox up. You remember that guy? It's the 4th gear from the box. So that was another adventure. And then we finished that season in 2nd place with a best time for the season of a 37.3. which was on the same AO50 tyres that we've got here. And then coming into 2025, well, we obviously had to put a new box in the car. And then in doing that, if you guys remember, I had a bit of a mishap on the hoist and the box kind of slipped off the transjack setup and I bent the clutch. Had to put a new clutch disc in the car. We put a new pedal setup in the car and we also went to some softer rear springs. All before round 1. Now it was at this stage too that we gave the car a proper alignment because up until that point, the alignment that it had on it was nothing special. So the car got a proper alignment and then obviously not too far after that was when we got the 3D printer and we started producing the NCR alignment kits, which have been very popular, and thank you to those guys who have supported NCR by buying one of those kits and doing your own alignments and running PBs. So thanks guys. Thank you also to Nick at Duke Racing, who was the original collaborator to get those stringline kits up and running, and also Maddie from the Nugget Project, who helped in the initial stages of getting those printed and out to customers before I got my own printer. So round 1, straight off the rip, we got a 36.5, which was a new PB. But I recall it was only the 2nd session in, I think I touched a ripple strip, and from that point forward the steering was wonky and the alignment was off, and that was kind of the end of the day. We came back, fixed the alignment, had another go at it and did it properly this time, and this is when we started adding some more aero. We fitted these little headlight washers here, but I might put a picture up as well. We also put the first set of guard vents in. And you know, if you can't see them on the car, I'll pop pictures up as we go. So guard vents, we put the splitter tunnels in, and then we got ready for round 2. So round 2 would have been somewhere in the first part of the year. So nice sort of autumn weather, I would think. And that was when we ran our best time for the year. So a 35.02, which ticked off another one of those goals that we had for the car of running a 35-second lap. So happy days, same tyres. Now, at this point, I was convinced that aero and weight reduction was the way forward. So the car got some more aero. We got some more guard vents. We fixed the rear infill, and we added those amazing rice strakes that have been a very hot talking point. We put some wheel deflectors on. We changed the mirrors, pulled some door trims out, put those TRD door striker things on. And the other thing we did was put a Circuit Works footrest in, which can't be understated as actually being like a fantastic comfort mod. And you guys know that I've worked with Circuit Works to make those upper guard vents, and I already had some bonnet vents on the car and those sorts of things. So thank you, Circuit Works. Yeah, big impact on the car this year, and I've loved working with you. Here's where things got a bit crazy. So you'll remember that we wanted to do the diff, and we went for the 4.5 setup after trying to get a Y58 and not being able to find one. And we got just 2 laps on the warm-up session before the diff checked out, and that was the end of that. Had a whole bunch of dramas talking to the diff builder. It turns out that it was certainly the diff builder's fault. Not correctly assembled, some challenges with the diff pinion nut. So I'll keep putting photos up, and I'll link to a bunch of videos that talk about some of these mods, but also some of the disasters that we've had along the way. So we wasted round 3. So still did come away with a round win during round 3, but only through the help of Adam and also Chris, who were able to hook me up with another diff and get me back out on track. And of course, then we realized that I had no front pads in all of the previous rounds modification chaos. I hadn't done my normal check, had no pads. That was the end of my Intima RR pads all the way to the backing plate. Good times. So in preparation for the final round, we did the 4.3 swap after finally securing a Y58. Thank you to James at Red Rebel Racing. Appreciate it, brother. Skimmed the rotors, popped some new pads in. Then we went out for round 4. It was hot. There was traffic everywhere. Didn't run a fantastic time. We ended up with a 36.9, which was still better than last year's final round time, 0.4 seconds better. And of course, as you guys know, blew the gearbox up again. So that is a very quick overview of season 2025. No local car club rounds this year, as I wanted to really focus on the Winter Sprint Series and give ourselves the best chance of winning that, and we did, so fantastic result. Now, where to from here? So we might jump up and I'll pop over and we'll take a look at some bits and pieces I got on the floor ready to go. We can have a chat about that and then next steps for 2026.
And there we have a replacement gearbox. So thank you to, I think it's Mo or Moe from King Spares who hooked us up with a, can you read that? 27 Ks on this gearbox. So hopefully the 4th gear synchro in this one is fresh as, and unlike last time, this is a very complete box. So slave, shifter, mounts, you know, all the sensors, the whole 9 yards. So we'll get some spares out of that as well. Obviously, we've got the upgraded clutch fork and some springs and a few other bits and pieces to swap over like we did last time. But hopefully we can keep this guy alive a bit longer than we have been keeping the previous guys alive. And in this box, hopefully we've got a few things that will help make that a possibility. So now forgive me, doing this one-handed, never easy. What have we got in here? I do listen when you guys talk, so thank you for those who gave feedback. That is a GK Tech braided clutch line, which goes just over there. And we did get the heat protective sleeve for it as well. A few of you guys rather said that under track conditions, the factory line, this guy here, can swell. Is it that one or is it the one that goes from the master to here? Might be the other one, who knows? Probably that one. So the factory line can swell. And if it swells, you don't have the right amount of pressure and the clutch won't disengage, and then it will drag a bit, then you get poor engagement, and before you know it, you've blown up a gearbox, and we know what that looks like. So pop that aside. Do I think that's a problem? Probably not, but the reality is it's a cheap mod, we're going to be in there anyway. So the big one is this guy. So, oh, look at these stickers. So thank you to James at Top End Special for hooking me up with some fantastic pricing on this new Extreme HD organic clutch. Let's see if I can get him out one-handed. Hello. Can we get into it? So I've taken everyone's advice. We're going away from a solid center. We are going to just try a good old-fashioned sprung organic clutch. So obviously new pressure plate and other bits and pieces in there. What do we got? New thrust bearing, pilot bearing, oh, beautiful clutch aligning tool, etc. So again, thank you, James. But more importantly, and we'll just pop all that to the side. What else have we got in here? We have got a basically brand new light and flywheel. Now this was fitted once to a customer's car and never driven. Customer didn't pay, so I picked it up for a steal. Oh, it's already got a pilot bearing installed. So an extreme lightweight flywheel. I'm not sure how much lighter these are from factory. It'll be a couple kilos like most of them. I'm hoping that by taking some of the rotating mass off the shaft, that when we are shifting, there's just less force going through the whole system, and that might help us. So softer clutch, lighter flywheel, fresher box with hopefully working synchros, clutch line, and then we'll have to look at the oil situation, and hopefully all of those things might see us at least get more than 4 events out of the next gearbox. You know, hey, if we're crazy, we can get 8. Other people have said that they're, running turbo cars and getting much longer life. So I'm clearly doing something wrong with the setup. Hopefully it's just the clutch. I don't want to have to shift less aggressively because, I just love to be hard on the gear. But the reality is I'll probably have to just slow down the shift speed as well. And all of those things combined should lead to a happier gearbox. The last thing, and I don't have it here to show, is that I have received a bit of feedback from people saying check the gearbox temperature in race conditions. So the gauge setup that I have in the car does have an input for some other temp sensors, and I'll have to see if I can add a gearbox temp sensor and start monitoring it to see if that is a problem, because I have seen gearbox cooler setups used for these AZ6s. So we will get to work on this in the very near future. Not a fun job, but I will do a video as we go through this process just for anyone that wants to see how it's done. And fingers crossed, that helps alleviate our gearbox issues for next season.
Okay, so box aside, what's next in 2026? What are we aiming for? What other mods have I got in store for the car? I'm still not 100% certain about how far we will go. We're trying to modify this car to make it go faster. If we can get that 34.58, I think it is, that's the ZN6 NA record at Winton, happy days. So we've got to try and find half a second. So with that in mind, things that I'd still like to do on the car, aside from getting a working gearbox, I still haven't tried a softer rear sway bar. So I had one here for a period. It was sitting there ready to go, and I took it to one of the rounds, but I never got to test it. I can't remember if it was round 3 or round 4, but I broke something in both of those rounds. So never got to test that, and that went back to its owner. So I'll probably buy a softer rear sway bar and actually test that, just to see if I can get the rear dial just that little bit more. I mean, it's already got 6 kilo springs in it, but with the ride height being the way it is, and the car moving the way it is, I just feel like maybe a softer sway bar might be the answer. It worked in the Silvia, so we'll see what happens here. There has been discussion all through the last season about more aero, with the thing being a rear wing. So I've got, you guys can't see it from there, maybe I'll chuck a photo up, but I've got a C-West twin blade adjustable rear wing on the Silvia that is not going to stay on the Silvia once that's finished. So can we put that on the car, or do we get some kind of low drag SARD type setup? I'm not going to shell out for the Verus, is it Verus? Versus, whatever it is. Low high efficiency, low drag, high efficiency rear wing, because the thing's exorbitantly expensive, and that's not what this car's about. But there is a discussion to be had around, is a bit more rear downforce the answer for trying to find that grip that I'm looking for in the higher speed corners. But of course, as you do that, then you unbalance the car, and we might end up having to do a bigger front splitter. More weight out. So where can we take some more weight out? Is the bang for buck really worth it going to Perspex on, on those 3 windows and saving, they talk about it being 30 or 40% or something like that, maybe it's 50, but it's not going to be huge kilos, but hey, every kilo matters. At the Winton Weighbridge, this thing came in at 1166, I want to say, with not a heap of fuel in it and no driver. So it's certainly not the lightest NA 4-cylinder getting around, not the heaviest 8.6 I've seen either. So where else can we take weight? Like, bottom's aluminium, boot lid I think is aluminium, putting a wing on it adds weight. So there's not really a whole lot of places we could take weight from. We did save a fair bit of weight going to the, what room's on it? There, I can't remember, but I put a thing up about it. So we saved a bunch of weight going to the better rims. What else? What else can you really do without spending huge money? Hopefully the lighter flywheel will help. I mean, you could do things like lighter pulleys as well, but again, very, very tiny gains, and is it worth the money? Who knows? There has been some discussion about whether these tyres are starting to age out from heat cycles, so maybe we have to look at getting some fresher tyres. They won't be new tyres, but they'll be fresher used tyres, just depends on what comes up on the market. And I've got here driver coaching. So the reality is that, I'm a grassroots guy driving at grassroots level, so you guys are probably watching my clips, well, some of you will be, watching the clips and going, oh, he's done this wrong, he's missed that apex, he's turning in too late, too soon, whatever it might be. So the reality is I probably just need to get along to some of those proper track days, if I can fit it in time-wise, and get some driver coaching and find out, is there a half a second or a second just purely in driver improvements alone? Not sure. Now I've got here goal for the year to run a 34X, right? So we just want to take this thing into the next second bracket. You know, a 34.9 would be fantastic, but obviously we're still trying to chase corner speed, and that was a 34.58, I believe. So we've got to try and get somewhere in and around there. Is a 33 possible in one of these things? Who knows? Maybe with some good tyres, a bit more rear aero, and a better driver, whether that's me or someone else. Who knows? Is a 33 possible? It's a question that I've got to ask myself. Now, this car aside, what else is next in 2026 for NCR? So it was a pretty good year all round for, I don't know, what do you call it? You know, the page, right? So we are nearing 2,000 followers on the Facebook page. I think we need a handful extra to bump us over 2,000. So thank you, everybody. And I think since we started the YouTube thing, we have gone over 100 subscribers. So yeah, good job, guys. What's the next goal for that? I guess 200 or 500, whatever it might be. So we'll keep chipping away at that. I would love to get out to Oz Time Attack and Honda Nats again. I really enjoyed both those events this year, and I enjoyed I wouldn't call it a media process, but just bumming around the pitch, chatting to everyone, making silly videos, and now I've got the NCR pit rig to hoon around on and stuff. So if I can get to both of those events, I will definitely get to those events this year. I doubt I'll be competing, but even if I'm not competing, I'll attend, and all the usual shenanigans will ensue. And then I've got get to work on the Sylvia. So you can see it behind me there, that poor thing. This has to be the year. It's been sitting there long enough. All I really need to do is finish getting the sound deadening out of it, take a loom out of it and a bit more dash and things like that, and then get the car off. So off to be caged. Once it comes back from being caged, decide what I'm going to do with making the car fit the rims setup. So it's got the tubs on it obviously, but wide body guards or flares, something like that. Get it painted and start putting the thing back together. So the reality is that in terms of timing and budget, we're probably not going to get that car finished in 2026, but it's time to start seeing some actual progress on that. And I will put a video up going over the car as it stands right now. What's it got in it? What are all the bits and pieces that we need to do? Because there is a fair bit of stuff that's already done to that car. I was chipping away before I got the 8.6. We've got the engine ready to start fitting accessories to, and a turbo system. That will also include me reaching out and tapping a few brands on the shoulder and saying, hey, do you want to get involved? Would you like to help? And it's not just parts or discounts or whatever it might be. It's also expertise. I'm just a DIY mechanic, so the information is just as valuable as everything else. And then lastly, thank you. Thank you to Circuit Works for all of your help this season with the car. We got the result. That's awesome. Thank you to Komatsu. We've continued to do some used oil analysis, and we'll continue to do that in the future. If you haven't done one of those yourself, just grab one of the $35 kits. I'll put a link in the description. Do one. No more guesswork. Just get the data and then find out how your oil's performing. We've got some questions around, as I mentioned earlier, I've got some questions around what's happening with the gearbox oil. Those are still to be answered, so watch this space. Thank you to HFM. Those two-piece rotors, man, they are just such great value. Literally just skimmed them after the abuse that they took with metal on metal. Skimmed them, new pads, good to go. Best value two-piece rotors that you will get for these cars. I've got some on the Silver as well. Thank you to my man Phil at Intima, and good job on getting the Accord back together, brother. The Intima RR pads have been fantastic, value for money, and still work on the backing plate, so that's amazing. And the RR Plus is an incremental improvement, so I'm happy with what I'm seeing with those so far. Thank you to Adam from Matt Sims Performance. Thank you to James from Red Rebel Racing. Thank you to Maddie from the Nugget Project. Ruckus, so many other people that I talk to in my messages and commenters and top fans on the Facebook page. Thank you guys. Appreciate the support. Your questions and your support help keep me motivated to keep doing some of this stuff. So if you like it, keep doing it. And yeah, bring on 2026. Thank you for everyone who supported NCR. Fingers crossed for next year, and I will catch you in the next one.